This is Commissioner Bill Bartline, and I'm going to open the press conference. I did have one announcement before the press conference gets started. Yesterday, we had some issues with one of our microphones. It was also our first attempt at a bilingual press conference. Today's format is going to be a little different. We're not going to be using the microphones only phone-in like our Friday community meetings. In addition, the live stream will be in English only, so as we're talking, we will not have the interpretation going on. Anadelia Aguilar is going to interpret the meeting afterwards and put it into a recording, and it'll be available on our website, and we will be pushing it out to the public. I really want to thank Anadelia and the Community Health Department for allowing her to do this work for us. It is timely, and we need to get the information out to the whole community. So with that, we will open this press conference up with Sheriff Jim Horton.
Hi, good morning, Commissioners. I just got on here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Well, this morning, myself and Sergeant Jackson took a little tour of the area in the Pike Road section, and I have to say it was very interesting. There's a lot of damage up there, but fortunately, there was only one structure that was damaged, and that's a small garage outbuilding. The other buildings, homes, and things up in that area are unaffected. You know, I would imagine there's significant smoke damage within the homes, but all of the homes up there are intact, and the fire crews did an excellent job on trying to protect the properties. What I found out is that the local fire crews were focused on the structures, and ODF is focusing on the fire suppression, fire lines, fire roads, things like that. What we have so far is the fire is approximately 175 acres. There's 180 firefighters on scene, 4 crews from South Fork Prison Camp from up the Wilson, and just about every local fire agency was involved at this point. They're in the process of a crew rotation, so they've released the other local fire districts from the scene, but Tillamook Fire District and ODF are still on scene conducting operations. We don't have an estimate on containment. They've been reluctant to give an estimate on that. The fire is still active, but with the weather, it certainly has slowed the progress of the fire, and the weather is projected to change even further in the next couple of days. So that's in our benefit. I did talk to Lieutenant McCraw this morning. It is projected to have some continued east winds, but only between 5 and 10 miles an hour, and then into tomorrow, the weather changes further, and more of a southwesterly wind pattern is expected. What we have is continued agency assist with Lincoln County, a mutual aid system we have in place. So 2 Nestucca Fire District engines, 1 Nehalem and 1 Rockaway, are down in Lincoln County assisting with operations there. So they're in much worse shape than Tillamook County, and we want to be able to help them as much as we can. So it's good that our fire districts are able to redirect some resources down there to assist them. Last night, about 7:30, there was an additional fire that was reported around milepost 7 on Highway 6. That was, again, involving a BPA transmission line. That was extinguished very quickly. It was less than an acre in size, so crews responded immediately and took care of that. There was also an additional fire on Long Prairie Road, which was a pile of debris on county property. It was a spontaneous combustion type of thing, and a lot of mulch, a lot of tree fallings, things like that. That was extinguished quickly as well. So there were some rumors that it was arson. Those are untrue. It was just a perfect situation for a spontaneous combustion situation. So fire crews responded immediately and took care of that. So We are hearing some reports that people are starting to return to their homes in the evacuation area. I just want to remind the public that they need to remain out of those areas until they get the all clear from sheriff's office or the local fire districts. There still is a danger in that area. We want to make sure everybody's safe and not return before it's time. And I know that's very hard for people when we're talking about their personal property and homes and investments, but really the protection of the personal safety is more important than property. We can replace property, we can't replace people. We have been in some discussion, and it involves ODF and near space cooperation to deploy a drone to get an overall assessment of the fire complex. Those are still in talks with ODF and near space, but it's looking like it's a possibility of deploying a drone to see what the damage is and an overall assessment. So we're excited about that. I hope to see some more footage. Like I said, I drove up there with Sergeant Jackson this morning. In fact, we just got back a few minutes ago, and it is significant damage up in the Pike Road area. And again, no homes were damaged, just the one outbuilding. But what's very interesting is how quickly that fire swept through that area, through the underbrush and the fuel on the forest floor. So it's prime condition for a forest fire. But again, our crews, ODF crews, and South Fork Prison Camp did a great job, continues to do a great job up there. And we really want to thank them for their service. They saved every home up there on Pike Road, which is amazing. Looking to my notes here, we do have a lot of the local logging companies have offered volunteers and equipment to go out and help, and ODF and local fire districts are coordinating those efforts, and I want to thank those businesses for wanting to come out and help. That certainly makes a difference. We've had the ability to deploy a lot of heavy equipment for the fire suppression efforts, and really we couldn't do that without the volunteers and these private businesses that have been helping out. The evacuation pattern has not changed. The map that we displayed for the public yesterday, those evacuation areas have not changed. They've not been expanded, but they have not been reduced at this point either. So I just want to continue to remind people that not to return to those evacuation areas. Our office continues to be on our 24-hour patrol coverage model. We're going to continue that for the next several days, just to keep any criminal activity from cropping up. There's a lot of concerns regarding unoccupied homes and things because of the evacuation. So we're going to remain out on a 24-hour patrol coverage model for the next several days, just to keep that in mind. The shelter, I talked to Detective Sergeant Brewer, who has been managing the shelter at the 4-H dorm at the fairgrounds. She tells me there's about 46 total people at the shelter. About 20 of those 46 are from Lincoln County. A number of trailers and tents and things amount to about 20 people from Lincoln County. Given the damage and the widespread fire that's currently still going in Lincoln County, we expect those numbers to climb. Reduce for Tillamook residents, but probably climb for Lincoln County residents. I did talk to Gordon McCraw a few minutes ago, who'd been in contact with Cami Von Segren at the fair, who's the director of the fairgrounds. We've had several requests from out of county for large animals, to house large animals, and we have taken in several horses. And she wanted me to convey to everyone that if you have large animals, horses, cattle, things like that, we do have room for that. We can accommodate, but we are getting requests from Washington County, other areas out in the metro area for those types of services. So we're happy to be able to provide that for everyone, but she wanted me to throw that out there as well. Other than that, things have calmed down significantly from yesterday and the day before, and we are making headway. I don't have an assessment on containment. They're not able to provide that just yet, but I'll continue to ask. At the next briefing, I hope to have those numbers, and other than that, I think we're in good shape. The incident command team continues to operate. We're still active at Tillamook 911, and I do appreciate the public holding their non-emergent calls. That we've seen a dramatic reduction in calls, and I do appreciate that. Again, I want to emphasize that if you have an emergency, please call 911 because we will respond. But if you're looking for information, general questions, please reference our Facebook page, the media outlets such as the Headlight Herald, the Pioneer, Pacific City Sun, listen to KTIL and the other radio stations here in Tillamook. They're all picking up information from our Facebook feed and from our press releases, and they're pushing that out right away. So I want to thank them as well for helping us get the message out to everyone. That concludes my update at this point, but I'm here to answer any questions that the board might have.
Jim, if I may, this is Commissioner Yamamoto. So I just want everyone to know, I had a call this morning from Lincoln County Commissioner Katie Jacobson. She's also the chair of their commission, and she was calling to thank us, Tillamook County, for all the preparation we did yesterday afternoon when we learned that a lot of Lincoln City was being evacuated. As you reported yesterday at our 3 o'clock press conference, at that point in time, Highway 101 southbound out of Lincoln City was closed, and so that left one escape route for all these people leaving Lincoln City, and that was north on 101 into Tillamook County, since Highway 18 eastbound was also closed. So Katie just called to thank Tillamook County for everything we're doing. I told her that we are set up at the fairgrounds. As a backup, we have available the YMCA here in Tillamook. And as a backup to the backup, we have been in conversation with Misty Horton of Nestucca Valley School District, and she is willing and able at any time to open up all of her school buildings to house evacuees should that become necessary. And again, we have no idea what to expect from Lincoln City, how many people are really going to be leaving and looking for shelter, things of that nature. So I did stop by the fairgrounds yesterday, late afternoon, and I talked with Deputy Brewer and all the chaplains out at the fairgrounds, and they're doing just a great job out there. They really are. And people are stepping up also. They actually had to ask people to stop bringing food and things to the fairgrounds because they just had so much food. This is just Tillamook County stepping up and doing what needs to be done. And I think we are ready. The one thing that Katie told me this morning was that the fire in Otis really is still uncontrolled, just period, uncontrolled. So again, we don't know what to expect out of that, but we should be ready for more evacuees from Lincoln City, and we'll just take it as it comes.
Yeah, yes, Commissioner, that's true, and that's the information that we have as well. And you're correct about the number of donations. People have been very, very generous, very willing to help, and we have so many donations that we're to the point we would love people to continue. We love their efforts. We're just having a hard time managing the amount at this point. So if people still want to donate, we would love to have non-perishable snacks and bottled water, but any type of prepared food or anything that needs to be chilled, we no longer have the capacity to do that. And unfortunately, I hate saying that, and I really do appreciate the community's efforts. It's just become a little difficult, and we're trying to feed our crews and our law enforcement officers as much as we can, and it's really we couldn't have done it without the community. So I want to thank them, but we're doing really well on donations, and we've not had to expand out to the other overflow shelters such as the YMCA or Nestucca Valley School, which is great. But like I said, and we both have mentioned that the situation in Lincoln County continues to be pretty dire, and we certainly want to be able to help them. So I can see these numbers could increase in the near future.
This is Senator Johnson.
Yes, Senator.
you've been speaking about human food. I'm wondering about animal food. If we're taking in large animals, even small animals, I would presume that instead of handling lots and lots of like cat or dog food or bales of hay, that maybe money would be a good thing. I don't know how long this is going to go on, and with the outpouring of support right now, if it has duration, whether or not you'll need additional support for the animals that are there, and whether or not the public could give that to either Tillamook County or to the fairgrounds, to the fair, to see about helping to tend to those animals.
Yes, I'd have to defer that question and any inquiry to Cami Von Segren, who's the fair director. She's been managing the large animal lodging and logistics with that. So those questions, I have to defer to Cami.
We'll give her a call. One other thing that I would just share with you that has come up is we are all so reliant on computers now and being able to get onto websites and figure stuff out. I this morning spoke with a potential evacuee at Hague Lake who is not computer literate and is at a point where they're kind of panicking, won't even take directions on how to manipulate a computer. What they want is maps. And I don't know, and I know Hague Lake isn't your responsibility, but the point that I'm making is we ought to always bear in mind that we've got people who are not computer savvy, particularly elderly people who are in need of information, and how we saturate the various media outlets with information that is not computer dependent, I think is also important.
Yeah, that's a great point, Senator, and that was brought up yesterday by Commissioner Bell. How do we get notification and information out to people who have either lost power or don't have the ability and really reliant on old analog technology such as a radio is one of the best ways. And you're right, we should have some prepared maps because we have become overly reliant on computers and internet. So this is a great learning lesson, and I'm going to speak to Lieutenant McCraw about that, and we're going to have that be a focus of our emergency management program.
Thank you. I also would just conclude by asking everybody who's listening to this conversation or party to it to keep Representative Gomberg's family in their thoughts and prayers. In all likelihood, Representative Gomberg has lost his home.
Oh.
Representative Gomberg is on the line, and he's going to give us an update here in a minute on what he's gone through and what's Lincoln City is going through. And
it's incredibly courageous given what he's just been through.
Yeah, that's what I thought, and when he volunteered. And Cami Von Segren, I think, is on the line and is going to give an update on the fairgrounds a little later. But Cami, are you on now?
Yes, I am, Commissioner Bartley.
You want to go ahead and do your update? And
sure, I can, and thank you for having me on the call. Can you hear me okay? I'm on speaker.
Yes.
So I just wanted to thank the Sheriff's Department in general. The fairgrounds is open and accepting just about everyone and everything at the point, but the Sheriff's Office has been just instrumental in directing and keeping us very well organized and moving forward. I would like to also thank, I have our FFA advisors, Brooklyn and Hayden Bush here, helping man the phones, working in our facility. I also have Dakota Logger, OSU Extension 4-H agent here partnering with us as well. So we have a pretty good team here at the Fairgrounds office. We're manning the phones, asking questions, giving information, directing people to the Sheriff's Department website and Facebook pages. We have put up small animal pens. They've also installed some pens for dogs, for people who have their pets here with them that are being housed. So we've got the facilities pretty much under control. We have received quite a few phone calls from different agencies looking to come here, both the Oregon Department of Forestry and also the South Fork camp in case they have to move. So we've got those logistics already pinned down and where they will be and how we will incorporate more than one agency at the fairgrounds. As far as I want to get to Senator Johnson's question about large animal food, we have received donations of some straw, some hay. We are getting phone calls from people in the valley wanting to know if we need anything or if we're accepting large animals. So we are. Currently, we have about 18 to 20 horses that have come from various areas, mostly in Lincoln County. We do still have capacity for another 40 to 50. If we need to expand beyond that, we still have capabilities to do that as well. And we are looking for certain things. Like I said, we've got some donations probably on their way right now. If not, we have a donation button on our fairgrounds website. So you can go to tillamookfair.com and go to the donate button, and you can do whatever you'd like there. We would appreciate that, and we'll make sure that that money gets used for the emergency or the fairgrounds itself. We do have plenty of food for the small animals currently, but we do have capacity for whatever is available, both cattle, large animals, and small animals. And I think that that was your main questions. We don't need any volunteers at the moment. We do get calls for that. We're just not quite ready to take on a volunteer capacity, but I would suggest that you check with the Sheriff's Office website, and when they are needing volunteers, I'm sure that it would be posted there. And then in addition, we are accepting people from outside of our county. We have been receiving calls, like you had mentioned, both Washington County, Clackamas County. I mean, pretty much everybody is going to be at capacity. And we did get a call that they are moving some animals to Clatsop County, and once they're full, they'll probably end up flowing down to us. So is there any questions at this time?
Okay, thank you, Cammie. You guys are doing a heck of a great job. So I'm torn as to who to go next. I think Representative Gomberg, because you're on a tight, I think this is your fourth meeting in a row this morning already, and you are, the community wants to express itself to you, how sorry we are about your possible loss of your home. So let's have Representative Gomberg, if you're available. Could you give us an update?
Thank you so very much, Commissioner. First of all, can I be heard clearly?
Yes, you can.
All right, very good. Well, I represent, of course, the southern half of Tillamook County and the northern half of Lincoln County, and anybody in those areas know how closely linked the geography and the people there are, whether it's through the economy, whether it's through shopping, whether it's through work, or just through friendships. The line between Tillamook and Lincoln becomes very blurry. Let me tell you that that right now that northern Lincoln County has been hit very, very hard, starting with the historically unpredictable and high winds that came roaring from the east on Monday evening, followed quickly by power outages, fallen trees, and falling branches. At some point, that sparked a fire on Highway 18, actually two fires on Highway 18 at roughly the milepost 7 point, just as you enter the Van Duzer corridor. There were two fires that eventually converged. They're now referred to as the Echo Mountain Complex fire. And that fire then moved west, propelled by the high winds, coming through Rose Lodge and Panther Creek, eventually over through Otis, over Highland Hill, and approaching Lincoln City. There's a lot of misinformation right now. To my knowledge, there are no structure fires in Lincoln City within the city limits. The Neatsu Post Office has not burned down. McDonald's has not burned down. Safeway is not on fire. But there are many, many people who have suffered horrible losses with very short notice. And I will tell you right now that half of Lincoln City is on an evacuation alert, either streaming north into Tillamook County or streaming south toward Newport. There is an evacuation complex. Well, actually, it has moved 3 times now, but currently at the community college in Newport, where people are being triaged, which is to say Do you have children? Do you have pets? Do you have people with special needs or are infirmed, and helping them get support once they identify what their needs are? The North Lincoln Hospital in Lincoln City has been evacuated, as have all of the residential care facilities in North County, and we remain without power. So it's been very, very difficult for us up here. Currently, Highway 101 is closed just past, as you approach the Cloverleaf, so you can't get into Lincoln City from the north. Also, Highway 18 going into the valley is also closed, so you can't head east. The only departure points are either to turn around and go back through Tillamook County and perhaps over Highway 22 at Hebo, or to drive south to Newport. Commissioner, I've learned some important lessons through personal experience the last couple of days, and I will tell you that we received our evacuation alert where I live, Susie and I, in Otis, before dawn on Wednesday morning, and within an hour, fire was surging over our hill and through our neighborhoods. I honestly don't know at this point what houses are still standing, which ones are not. But I will say again that so many people have lost everything. And the lessons, if people are listening and are wondering, what do we do and how do we help? What should we learn from all of this? The first thing I would say to you is that whether it's COVID, whether it's the economy, whether it's the fires, these are times that demand the very best from all of us. And our ability to work together unselfishly to support our family and our friends and our community, which means looking out first for your family, but then for your neighbors and for your friends, and particularly people that don't have a connection, don't have a support network, may be in need of your help. The second thing, and this is so obvious it almost goes without saying, we remain in a critical high-risk fire environment. And so we need to be particularly cautious, not simply about beach fires and outdoor burning, which are all banned, but even cigarette butts or something as simple that you might not think about as target shooting and ricochets, because we are seeing more and more of these fires that are being caused by people rather than by natural elements. And the third thing I would say to you is that this warning system that we have in place, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, take it very, very seriously. Phase 1, have a plan. Susan and I were fortunate to have some warning with phase 1, and even though the lights were out, we had to go through our home and take a look around and say, what do we keep, what do we need, what can we leave behind? Heart-wrenching decisions, but you need to have a plan. How do you communicate with each other? How do you gather your family? What are you going to do about pets or livestock? What things do you need to take with you on short notice? Phase 2 means get ready to leave. We had less than an hour between phase 2 and phase 3, so we needed to be prepared, and that's what the warning system is designed to do, is to have you better prepared for that possibility that you move to phase 3, which means you need to go now and cooperate with law enforcement and the safety responders that are out there. I can't say enough about the sheriff's department, who came through at 5 o'clock in the morning, going door to door and with their loudspeakers waking people and telling them to be prepared to leave. I can't say enough about the volunteers who followed up with door-to-door searches through our households as the fire was approaching, putting themselves in harm's way to say, you need to get out now, do you need any help? And I can't say enough about the firefighters who have come here and have put themselves at risk to protect ourselves and to try and stop this fire as it moves with devastating speed through our communities. A time that demands the very best of us. I think we are responding with our best right now, but Oregon is spread thin with over 50 fires underway, and there are no resources available to help us. Should something break out in Tillamook County, the best thing we can do right now is make sure nothing does break out in Tillamook County and to take appropriate steps to minimize any risks, but also to be ready. So forgive me if that seemed a little emotional. Forgive me if that seemed a little terse. These are difficult times for everybody, and I think the best thing we can do is to support each other and to be as well prepared as we can.
Thank you, Representative Gomberg. It's tough times, and our thoughts and prayers are with you. So now I'm going to go back because we have David Wells, PIO from ODF on the line, I believe. So, David, do you want to give us an update from ODF?
Okay. Yes. Am I coming through?
Yes, you are. Thank you. Sorry for the delay.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioners, for this opportunity to talk about the Pike Road fire and what's going on here at the Department of Forestry. My name's Dave Wells, and I'm now dedicated to public relations on the Pike Road fire. And, getting that information out, as I heard from Senator Johnson, it is important. And I have a phone number here that I maybe could share right off the start that would raise just in my direct line here. It's 503-815-7021. And that is one way of getting some more information out about the fire, sort of the old-fashioned way, the analog way. But let me give you a bit of an update of what's going on up there. I think, I concur with Sheriff Horton on the size estimate. Today, from the Department of Forestry, they're going to be mapping it using GIS technology and trying to get a better handle on what the size is. It has just been, with those east winds that are blowing up there, it's just been too tough to get around the fire and unsafe to really do an accurate mapping job. But that is one of the goals today, is to make sure we can get that a little bit better. And there's still, I think, again, with Sheriff Horton, there's no estimate of containment at this time. One thing I would also like to say, along with Representative Gomberg, what he described is this local effort of the number of people who are helping to put out these fires. This would have been a fire that would have demanded an incident management team, but there just wasn't any available. And so it really has been this community effort to stop this fire and to protect people, save structures. Currently, around 180 to 200 people on that fire. And, I'd just like to sort of recognize some of those people and crews that are up there. One is, from Found Logging. Randy Richardson has dozers and equipment up there. Yost Logging. Scott Whitehead has crews, engines, and a Feller Buncher. Hopkins Logging. Nick LaFollette. Swald is one of our people who knows how to use tankers, and they're up there. And of course, Tillamook County Public Works and the fire departments, Tillamook, Bay City, Garibaldi, Nehalem, and Nestucca Rural, all, incredibly important. And of course, the Tillamook County Sheriff's Office. But that has been a big thing. And, another resource that we have there is the South Fork Camp. There are 12 crews up there, and 8 of those 12 are assigned to this fire. So they've been very helpful, maintaining staffing up there 24 hours a day and working on it. It's just been really important that way. I'd say the big thing, talking to people who were up there the night before and up there last night, they just came off there. Tonight they described it as calm, quiet, and cold, and that's the weather, not the fire. The fire is still active up there and burning, as it does. It's still very dry up there, but it was such a different night compared to the night before. The evening before, they described an incident with those winds that we had and the drying that has been ongoing. They thought they had developed a good fire line someplace, and a spark came across it in that wind, and they estimated in 15 minutes that fire had grown to 30 acres. I'm not sure if that's the real 30-acre growth, but it was explosive growth, and there weren't any aircraft in that area to help them, and it was at night, so they had to stop it all by hand and with hand crews up there. Just to give you a little bit of an update of things that are going on, the PUD has restored power to homes in all but the Willowbrook and Pike Road area. Pacific Power has a major transmission line going through that area, and it's important to businesses in Tillamook County. And they are in there working to repair some damage to some of the cross members on those transmission lines, and hope to be finished with that and be able to energize those lines soon. But they also, be lots of people spraying water and working in there, so they need to sort of balance that out. And, it's somewhere after tonight, hopefully the Department of Forestry will be communicating with the Tillamook County Sheriff's Office and reevaluating about the safety and return of people to that area. But it's still a very flexible and dynamic situation up there, and there's no guarantee that that's going to happen. It just would be a chance to reevaluate it after that. And looking out a little bit into the future, of course, there's going to be crews, the local resources, the cooperators up there, but also helicopters are being ordered to help with this fire. and they're setting up or arranging to put up big tanks for them to dip out of and basically use snorkels to suck water up into helicopters and deliver it to the fire. This is a high priority fire, and with this weather that we've had, of course, the wind, the smoke, those air resources weren't available, but now with some clearing expected, that it is going to be available, and we're going to have those moving in quickly. And like I said, I am dedicated to this fire, and I heard, that there are people who aren't computer literate, and one of my goals is to be able to visit some of the local watering holes, in a sense, the town hall in Bay City, get some information up there where people will be able to see what's going on with this fire, and sort of give them try to get them back to a sense of normalcy as quickly as possible. And that's about all I have there.
Thank you. The one question that I have had is in the Kelch's drainage there, just over the logging bridge and on up, there's a lot of homeless folks. Have they been contacted, and does anybody know where they've ended up?
I'm not aware of that.
Okay.
But we could check into that.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thank you, David. Senator Johnson, do you have any parting thoughts?
I do not. I think Representative Gomberg summed this up well, and again, I congratulate him for his courage to be on this call helping others when his family has suffered so dramatically. I thank you very much for hosting this forum. I think this is very useful.
I had one question. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes. Who is this?
Yes, I'm calling from Missouri. I have family in the area. I didn't want to take your time. I wanted to ask if there's a number that I can do it, like a funding donation to. I heard mentioned earlier, tillamookfair.com. I would be glad to go online and do that and make a contribution for the for the general population that's dislocated there. I do have family, which I have not spoke with, that lives up north of Wilson River Loop, up off north of Barker's Dairy there, up off Sully Smith Road. And I was curious if you could tell me what the evacuation level was there. They were concerned with the fire jumping over the Kilchis River there, and it was approximately like one mountain ridge away from them as of yesterday. So I wanted to ask that question without taking too much of your time, how I can donate, and then also what you can tell me about that area.
So we'll get back to you on the donation. If you can phone back in. And as far as Solly Smith goes, I live right there on Solly Smith, and we're fine. They should be fine up Solly Smith at this point. So that's all I know.
Okay, and who is I speaking with? My name is Vince. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Okay, I do want to go on to David McCall, the mayor of Bay City. David, do you have any updates for us?
Yes, Commissioners, this is David McCall. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So I'd basically like to report it's incredible what we've gone through during the last 48 or 50 hours here. 2 days ago when we started, I think there was a lot of confusion, part of it brought on by the fact that we also had no electricity, and a lot of things were not clear. It's amazing how our volunteer fire departments have come out to support ODF and everybody else, and how, all the agencies have interacted really well. I think the confusion really came under control once we realized that the sheriff's office is doing a great job updating their Facebook page, and especially after they put out that very clear map of level 1, 2, and 3 that happened yesterday. It enabled us to really explain to people calling in and people we saw a whole lot better where it lies, and that the city itself is not under 2 but level 1. And we've been able to communicate with people the need to be prepared and be ready, but yet not having to leave. So one thing we did yesterday, our campground has been closed all year due to COVID. Yesterday we went out and we actually opened up the campground, and that is available for dry camping only for people who had to evacuate due to the fires. So we have that open right now. A few families have taken advantage of that, and we're there. But I would like to say that campground normally closes about this time each year, because once it starts raining, it cannot be used. So it is a temporary opening that we have available for evacuees, and we're really pleased that, I'd like to compliment not just the volunteers we've got in our and other volunteer fire departments, but also their employers, who have been very gracious in allowing them to respond to these fires and be out hour after hour and not come into work, but actually be able to serve our communities that way. So I think that's all I have at the moment.
Thank you, David. Joanne from County Parks, Joanne Wolfe.
Good morning, Commissioners. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Joanne.
Good morning. We have evacuated Kilchis Campground due to its close proximity to the fire that's going on Pike Road, and we also evacuated Trask County Campground. Trask wasn't necessarily due to a close proximity to any fires, but we've had power outages there, which have in turn led to the loss of water supply with the well system being run by power, and there has been intermittent phone outages, and our comfort level at having staff and the public recreating out there without being able to contact them readily wasn't working for us, so we closed it as a safety precaution. Right now, just so folks are knowing, because of the restriction on the roads in the closed area of the Pike Road fire, Mapes Creek, Kilchis River Campground boat launch, and Fisher's Point boat launch are not readily accessible, and we ask that you please do not try and access these boat launches. We do have other boat launches that are still readily accessible. But just keep in mind that in the Tillamook County right now, there's an extreme poor air quality, and there is the potential for power outages. So if folks are wanting to come over here and recreate, they may want to reconsider. The air is not that beautiful ocean air that you might be accustomed to. It is smoky. It is hazy. If you have breathing issues, it might not be comfortable for you. But at this time, the remainder of our campgrounds are open, and we do have patrons that are supposed to be coming in this weekend. So I just want to reiterate, if you do not really have to come over, it might be a better time for you to stay safe where you are and not necessarily come over and be in this situation. And if anyone has any questions, please let me know.
Thank you, Joanne.
Thank you.
One question that I've got is, would our campgrounds be available for people that have had to evacuate from Lincoln City?
Potentially a limited quantity. Right now, as I had said, we're full through the end of the month. So we have patrons in our facilities, and unless we can actually reach, we've started canceling at Kilchis and Trask, but unless we can actually reach people before they are out on the road, we do have patrons that are coming into our facilities, but we do have a limited amount of sites that would be available. So that would be something that if folks are wanting to call the 503-322-3522 number and leave a message and let the staff know that you're being evacuated, we can try and fit you in as we have the sites available. But some of those sites are already, they have people in them.
Okay. Any other questions for Joanne?
So, Commissioner, if I may?
Sure. Go ahead, David.
Had this conversation yesterday. So the U.S. Forest Service has closed down all of their access to federal forest lands, to camping, things of that nature. They also closed down the Sand Lake Recreation Area. And so that just got me thinking that that's a huge area for motorhomes. They've got bathrooms. They've got water. So, if it came to that, I think maybe we should have a conversation with U.S. Fish and Wildlife, U.S. Forest Service, to see if they may allow us to use the Sand Lake area for evacuees. Just a thought.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, let's keep moving. So let's go to Kirk Barnham from State Parks. Are you on the line? Kirk, you'd have to hit *6 to unmute. Okay, Cami Von Segren, do you have any further updates from the fairgrounds?
Thank you, Bill. No, I don't think we have any additional updates. Like I said, we also wanted to mention, you were talking about the fire crews, and we have actually had people bringing food here to the fairgrounds office for the fire crews, and I think that they are maxed at the moment, like you said, with food donations. And then we also did offer our water truck, which was one of the first trucks that was sent up for one of the fire crews, I believe Whiteheads, to be able to use. So the fairgrounds is just trying to give every opportunity for everything that we have for anybody that needs it in the community. So thank you.
Thank you, Cami. Okay, we'll go on to the commissioners. Let's start with Commissioner-elect. Aaron, are you on the line? Okay, Commissioner Bell.
Thank you. I'm here. I had a question for David Wells, actually, if he's still on the line. I'm wondering about the direction of the fire. At the last I read, it seemed to be moving southeast, and that's what it looks like just looking up at the hill. But I wondered if somebody could speak to that, the direction of the Pike Road fire, where it's going.
This is Dave Wells with the Department of Forestry. Yesterday, the fire was sort of heading towards, populated areas and private forest land there. But yesterday afternoon, relating to the day, it seemed like it had turned a little bit and headed sort of back towards Vaughn Creek onto state forest property, for state forest managed land. And that's what I have for a current direction of the fire.
Thank you. I'd also like to go back to state parks for a second, because I think Kirk Barham and Justin Parker were both on the line, on the call, and they may just not have been able to unmute. So if state parks is still on the line, do you want to jump in now?
Yeah, I'm on the line, Commissioner. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, thank you. You want to give a state parks update?
Yes. Like county parks, Cape Lookout State Park was without power, and we resulted in a very limited water supply. And so we were forced to shut down to reservations for a period of 72 hours to be able to catch up with our water and sewer services. That had been restored yesterday, and we are still open. However, with our current reservation policy, we've had some very few people actually camping at the campground itself. We have opened up to people that are fleeing from Lincoln City. I've been in close contact with my staff, and we've got a handful of people that try to set up at Bob Straub State Park, which is a day-use area and has very limited facilities last night. So they made contact with them and encouraged them to come up to Cape Lookout State Park or the fairgrounds as the primary evacuation point. We have also closed, so you know, the Cape Lookout Trailhead. We had a severe wind event on Monday that blew down close to 100 trees. The North Trail, South Trail, and Cape Trail are all blocked with also hazard trees hanging over the trail. So we've kind of reset up our concrete barricades just off the shoulder of the road, and we will be surveying that area to try and determine when and if we can reopen those trails. We have closed Munson Creek Falls as its close proximity to the Tillamook State Forest, just as a precautionary measure to keep people out of there as well. And we're considering some of our other day use parks, such as Bob Straub, that have would be a big burden on our fire departments who are currently assisting in other areas. So if there's any other questions.
So, Kirk, this is Commissioner Yamamoto. I spoke with Dennis Comfort this morning. He also mentioned that Sitka Sedge Park was closed. Is that true?
That is correct, yes. So Sitka Sedge is closed. We have trees that are over the trails as well, and we have a limited capacity. We had McPhillips access was closed. The park ranger supervisor and myself were able to get permission from Jim Oder after the industrial fire limits of 1 p.m. to go in there and reopen that, because we felt it was an emergency situation where if somebody was stuck on the beach, that they wouldn't be able to access them without having to go through Tierra del Mar.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is Commissioner Bell, and I just wanted to wrap up by saying how proud I am of our community and how impressed I am with the way that Tillamook County comes together to help one another in an emergency. There have been so many examples that were lifted up today. The logging companies and the fire departments and the farmers. I know there was farm equipment out working on that fire, and I got a call from a local logger last night who said, we're not working and we want to go fight the fire. And Sheldon Oil was out gassing up the fire department trucks, and people were delivering food. And it's just remarkable what goes on in this community in a time of need. And I'm so very grateful and proud of us that this is what we do to help one another out. And otherwise, I just want to encourage everybody to stay safe and just try to stay home until this is over. Just try to stay home until this is over and stay safe. And thanks. That's all I have for now.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Yamamoto.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to echo Commissioner Bell. This community really does step up. I mean, the fairgrounds, no reservations at all. Yeah, we're open. Bring them on. Let's take the large animals, small animals, people, families, motorhomes, tents. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. Kalen at the Y also offering up his facility. And it was when I was at the fairgrounds last evening, it was interesting that we were being told that anybody that needed to shower or things of that nature, the Y was open for that. So send people over to the Y and they can shower and use the facilities and then come back to the fairgrounds if they wanted. Again, when I was at the fairgrounds, car after car after car was showing up, dropping off food and water and pet food. I mean, it was laundry detergent. I mean, it was really an incredible sight. And then to go down to South County and have Misty Horton say, if you need any of our schools opened up, just give me a call, day or night, and we'll open up the schools and we'll take care of people. They also have food available. She said normally the food that we have is for our students, but at this point in time, because of the emergencies going on, if we have evacuees at any of our schools, we'll make sure they get fed also. I mean, it is. It's just an amazing community we have here in Tillamook County. And I just need to put a shout out there, just like Commissioner Bell, that this community is remarkable. It really is.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I would totally agree with that. No matter what the emergency is, it seems like this community comes together, and maybe it's because we've had some practice with the floods and the natural disasters that we've had over the last 20 years. But, you know, the COVID pandemic, everybody has been cooperative and worked so hard to keep our community safe. And now with the fire disaster going on, it's just amazing to me how this community bonds together and works together to make positive things happen. So I'm not going to go into much more detail, but I have been so impressed with everybody, and that's fire departments, road crews, everybody in this community has just joined together to make life better for our community and an outpouring of support for those that are hurting in the community. So kudos to Tillamook County, and I'm proud to say I've been born and raised here and still live here and will continue to live here because of the family connections and the ability we have to bond together and do the right thing for each other. So with that, I am going to adjourn the meeting at 10:56. Press conference, sorry, misstated myself. We will adjourn the press conference at 10:56. Thank you, everybody.